We Have Concerns is only possible through your support. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. You can get shows early, extra content, and more. Check it out. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
I kind of love living in hotels.
For how long can you do that? Indefinitely?
Maybe indefinitely.
Really?
There's something really pleasant about hotel living to me. I like living in a confined, like a small self-contained unit.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to worry about anything. I like not having any stuff and not worrying about stuff. And I like somebody making my bed because I'm a giant fucking child.
Well, I don't think anybody doesn't like someone making their bed.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird though. It's weird to think that for a month of my life, I'm going to be in this place that I had never even heard of until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. When I did a play last year and lived in a hotel for not nearly that long, but you said 3 weeks?
About 3.5.
Oh yeah. So I was about the same. Yeah. And it's kind of cool. Like they even gave me, a microwave oven in my hotel room and hooked me up with, I lived there. Like I got groceries and stuff. I wasn't eating out every night. It became my home, and it was weird having your home be a hotel room.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know, man. You know me. I like to be isolated as much as possible. I need a lot of alone time, which is why I think the hotel room thing sounds lovely to me. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
What's your password?
Oh, it's no. What? No.
This is a really interesting article. This was sent in to us at We Have Concerns Show.
But also it's Sexy Jew. Sexy Jew 124.
We Have Concerns Show at gmail.com. Now you know the password for it.
Yeah.
So try not to log in, guys. This was sent in from Shawn Stringfield. This is an article from the New York Times Magazine. It's pretty long, but it's really interesting. It's an article all about passwords and what it tells us about ourselves when we choose our password. And there's a lot of really interesting stories here.
Okay.
It starts off with something I had never heard before, which is right after 9/11, there was a guy whose job it was to have to figure out the passwords of a bunch of people that died in the Twin Towers.
Whoa.
Because a lot of those people this is a big business Wall Street type place.
Because they had information, they were doing deals, they had stuff, they had
policies in place where each of those people had to tell their password to several coworkers, but they never thought all of their coworkers would die at one moment, right?
Whoa.
It's pretty dark and pretty depressing and pretty sad, but this guy in the days after 9/11, because they didn't have any time to waste here because the markets had to reopen and they needed some of this information, he had to reach out to family and friends of the deceased and say, so did you guys ever have a pet? What is birthdays? Are there birthdays that are important?
Elementary school.
Favorite.
First girlfriend.
All that
favorite
stuff.
Food.
Yeah. He basically quizzed these people who were going through horrible grief to try to get information that he could try to get their password. They had computers working on it in a brute force way, just like A, B, A, C, A. They had computers doing that, right? But in the meantime, he had to go to these people and try to get information because the majority of people use personal information as their passwords.
Now, so I guess my big question about this is there's some IT department somewhere at these financial firms where there's an administrator that could reset most of these passwords, right?
Evidently not. I mean, according to this article, they had no way other than getting the passwords or breaking the code.
Or were they trying to, like, I would imagine all their corporate stuff they could get into really easy, but I guess they were worried about whether these people were doing things over their personal email. Is that what it was? Or
I think it was mostly the systems that they logged into. They needed to get as much information as they could about what these people were working on. Because when, hundreds of people from one place of business are gone, there isn't anybody that knows what they're working on. It's like the entire department is eliminated. It's pretty terrifying. But the cool thing is the article goes into sort of the psychology of what passwords are.
Okay.
And there's some really interesting stuff. Like the writer of the article just started asking people their passwords and just sort of going and seeing how many people would tell them their passwords and how people come up with their passwords. Are you like, alpha nerd, you do completely
I use a password
random
generator with a vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that does actually.
Did you ever not do that?
I think that does say a lot about me, actually.
Well, yeah. But did you ever? Was there ever a time when you used, your pet, your favorite color, or something like that?
Sure. I think for a really long time in the halcyon days of yore, yeah, there were probably 3 or 4 that I would rotate around. That I don't use anymore. But yeah, there were 3 or 4, and they were all kind of pop culture related.
Right.
Is how I used to do it, like, characters from movies or TV or video games. Or
now, would you pick them because they meant something really special to you?
Yeah, it was. I remember for a while I was using the password pencil with a number after it because that's what they did in war games.
Right. Yeah.
And Matthew Broderick found the school password and it was pencil.
Right.
And they kept like crossing it off. It was just regular school supplies, and so I used pencil, whatever.
And that's kind of what this guy found out is that
but nobody would have thought. I don't think anybody would have thought out of all movies to check war games because it wasn't like
right.
It wasn't like I had a war games poster on my wall or anything like that. I think I just thought, oh, computer password war games, fine. That's kind of a fun movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how anybody would have traced that back to me.
That's the thing. What he determines is that it's simultaneously this secret that you have that's very personal to you, and it's something that you feel like you would never forget.
Yeah.
But it's also this thing that you check into a lot because it's part of your daily life, right? You're typing this thing over and over. So the crazy thing is, another part of this article talks about how in December 2009, an Eastern European hacker uploaded a database of 32 million passwords for a company he broke into called RockU.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the largest password sort of database online of people's secret passwords. It was illegal what he did, but people have been using it ever since to analyze what people use for their passwords.
Oh, that's so funny.
And so there's all this
like in
data.
Hackers love secret sex god.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's all this data about what 32 million people, there's a lot of sample size, right? There's a lot of data about what people use for their passwords. And it turns out that the word love comes up by far as the most verb.
But this is a Russian company, so these are mostly in Russian, or what's the deal?
This was just a Russian hacker.
A Russian hacker guy.
But it's anybody has the information now because it's on the internet.
Gotcha. So what is the number one password?
Well, they don't really say what the number one password are, but they say the number one types of passwords were names, almost always names with numbers. But the verb that comes up the most often is love. And they say that more women use the word love in their password than men.
Okay.
And they also found out that 14344 is a number that comes up a lot. Do you know the significance of that?
I love you.
Yeah, very much.
Very much. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I never added the very much. I never knew about the very much.
And for a long time, they thought that the word team was coming up a lot, but it turned out it was...
Team or teen?
Team.
Okay.
But it turned out it was te amo.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff. And
there are people out there that aren't white and speaking English.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
And I love that they say that like it's just like craziest thing. You'll never believe it.
We didn't think to even try that.
We didn't even think Spanish. That's strange. English passwords only, please. From now on, we're running a check against your password. It needs to be 8 letters, 1 numeral. We'd like there to be a punctuation or a symbol, and also no fucking foreign languages.
Yeah.
You're in America. Speak American.
We looked at 32 million passwords and were shocked that there was racial diversity. That is actually my biggest gripe about passwords.
Racial diversity?
Yes. No. Is I wish my
Jeff
biggest
Kanata
wish.
Hates racial diversity.
Don't even joke.
Jeff Kanata hates.
My biggest wish about passwords is I wish when they asked your password, they would tell you what their particular restrictions were. Because that would help me remember my password. If it was like, oh, we make you have yours be more than 8 characters.
That's just giving hackers That's
They
just
still
giving
aren't-
people
I just
parameters.
need to, all I need to know is, did you make me use an uppercase letter? Because now I know what my password is.
Because here's what happens. If they tell people it needs to use an uppercase letter, if they tell people it needs to use punctuation, it needs to use a number, that means the first letter of your password is capitalized. And
Not
then
for me,
and then there's an exclamation point and a 1. Like, or a 1 and an exclamation point.
Maybe
Like,
so.
what you're basically doing is giving hackers keys.
Maybe so.
You're just giving them keys to the door. I'll tell you this. I really love my phone using my thumbprint.
Yeah.
That's
Me too.
I like biosecurity stuff. I think that's really cool. What I don't like is what I found is really interesting. There was a court case, there was a finding the other week where if your phone has a key code, like a passcode, an officer of the law cannot ask you to unlock your phone.
Right.
Because it's unlocking something. It's the act of unlocking. It's like opening your glove box.
Yeah, they
say
can't
ask you to do that.
If a cop pulls you over and you're talking on your phone, immediately turn it off and turn it back on so it's locked.
But a court, I believe it was in Virginia, said that touching your phone is not the same as entering an unlock code.
Oh, wow.
So if your phone is actually bio-locked, a police officer can ask you to unlock your phone. Like, they could be like, please touch the home button of your phone. And if you're using...
which is the home button, officer? I don't know.
There's literally only one button on your phone.
I can't find it.
No, you just...
I'm all thumbs over here.
Please touch one of those thumbs.
To my nose?
No.
I'm not drunk at all.
No, you push the button on your phone, sir.
I am. It's turning it off and turning it back on.
No, the button on your...
Oh.
I just can't figure out how this gun works. This gun may shoot at any time. I don't know how guns work.
You make a fair point.
Guns are strange. What does this one little bitty part do here? Touch the fucking phone.
Touche, officer. Touche.
But no, so that kind of scares me. That is a legal precedent moving forward that says, like, hey, in the future, when your door is retina locked, a cop can just walk you up to your door, or a government official can walk you up to your door and be like, look into the door.
Yeah.
Because it's not, like, they set a precedent that they don't even realize they've set, which spooks me out.
It's pretty weird. I mean,
In the
not that I have
meantime,
anything to hide on my phone, but
I have tons of stuff to hide on my phone.
That's weird.
I have
keep
got
your
a
weed.
lot of stuff going. I keep my weed in it. I keep my weed in a little weed app in my phone.
The other really interesting thing about this article is he talked about clever passwords. Like, there's a bunch of people who set their password as the word incorrect, so that when you get your password is incorrect, it's actually telling you what your password is, which is kind of clever. I give a lot of props to that. There was one guy who, because he had to change his password every 30 days at his job, set his password as some sort of reminder. So every time he put it in, it was like exercise at today, or quit to smoke, or something like that, so he was literally giving himself a daily affirmation every time he logged in.
That's some GTD shit.
GTD?
Getting things done.
Yeah.
David Allen, that's some like life hacks. That's some 43 folders.
I think that's kind of rad, actually.
It's pretty cool, and it's memorable. There was that XKCD that was like talking about the best passwords, and I use one of those password vault things, so it's makes these incredibly long random strings for me.
Boring.
It's fucking rad because I don't have to remember anything anymore. But and also, like, it's pretty secure now because every single site is different, and it's great. But XKCD was talking about how those password requirements are stupid. The mixed case, the numbers, because those are easily brute forced. It's just do them all in sequence. Like a bank of computers or a single computer can do that very quickly. It can do it as quickly as it needs to, but something that's hard for a computer to hack is a sequence of words that would be more memorable for a human.
Right.
But you could make a mnemonic device. Like if it was horse, lamp, tangerine.
Oh my God. How did you know that? How did you know my password?
All I'm saying is we're going to release this episode without that bleeped.
Okay.
Unless you send me $50,000.
Should I not have been carrying around my horse lamp tangerine?
I need you to put $50,000 into my weed app because I am running low. That's how weed apps work.
That is, yeah.
But no, so it's kind of like if you could just do a sequence of 3 or 4 words, we would all remember our passwords.
Right.
But
it gives you those stupid fucking restrictions, which piss me off. Like, give me enough credit that I can pick a password that's hard to. Like, don't
But
force
you can't. But you can't. But what that list of 30 gajillion people
Right.
putting love as their password means is they can't. You can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Most people can't. My dad used the name of one of his pets as his password for everything for the longest time. And it was just like, dude, you can't do that. You can't use the same password on every site. And it can't be your cat, which is the only thing you talk about in public, you weird old man.
Yeah. Well, actually, there is an answer to your question about what the most common password was for the 32
So you're a
million.
liar.
Yeah, it slipped my mind, and it's password.
Fucking people.
Right.
That's why we can't be trusted. That's why we can't be trusted. That's why cyber hackers are too late for us.
Well, laziness defeats everything.
People are just going to get into my weed app and take all my weed.
You really shouldn't have put Weed Lover 42 as your
I thought by leaving the 0 off, it would throw people off.
Yeah. Well, it didn't. 42, 420. That's what I meant to say. I just said 42.
That's what I thought. Leave
the 0.
You
were very smart. Very smart to do that, and I just sabotaged myself.
Oh, Jeff. In improv, they're called gifts.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. So, hey, everybody, we would love to know, what's your password? You can send it to us on Twitter. I would love to know, do people use biosecurity stuff? Are people using proper password security? Because I know most people don't. Like, I think
most people don't.
I think
that's true.
If you don't use one of these password vault things, most people are using a variation of one password across every single site they use every day.
Yeah.
I think that's probably happening. If you're somebody who does that, please leave the base word of your password on my Twitter. It's at @acarboni.
And mine is at Jeff Canada. Password.
That's the dumbest spy movie of all time. Password.
That's the combination an asshole would have on his luggage.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And if you've seen a story like this that you think we should cover, send it to us. It's wehaveconcernsshow@gmail.com. We love it when you guys send us stuff like this.
Yeah, we also love it when you give us those nice reviews on the iTunes and the Stitcher. We appreciate your 5-star reviews over there. And we appreciate you checking out the Patreon as well.
Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
#password.